guys, welcome back to Hello Friends. It is Mother's Day weekend, so happy Mother's Day. Today we've got a special episode coming to you regarding being a boy mom.
Yeah, and I'm Kayla, who is also a boy mom. It's crazy, all of my friends, everyone around me has
boys. Yeah, mine too.
Yeah,
they all have boys.
It's a boy world. I do have a niece that I love very much, and I helped with her when she was little, but there is something about being a boy mom that's incredibly special.
So we're going to jump right into our conversation about being a boy mom and some of the challenges and some of the stories that we have. So sit back, relax, and grab a drink.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we're talking about being a boy mom, I know when I found out I was pregnant, I, for one, immediately knew it was a boy, like just in my gut. I knew immediately. It's a story that I love to tell. So I was very young, so I obviously was not planning or expecting to be pregnant. But I was, and I had stayed the night at Ryder's dad's house, like at his apartment. We got up that morning. I took the test. I called my sister, told her before he even knew, he was in the shower. Called my sister. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I talked to her. When I told him, I just hand him the box. When I get home, I look at my mom. She goes, oh, I had the wildest night last night. And I go, ooh, but I can top it. Bet I can beat you. And she's like, oh, starts telling me about this dream she had.
Your mom had a dream too? Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. When we get to mine, I'm going to tell you about my mom's dream.
So then I look at her and I go, well, I woke up this morning and confirmed I'm pregnant. And she looked at me and goes, it's going to be a boy.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at her and I go, I know.
Oh,
I know. Like, I just felt it. And I always wanted a boy. It was very important to me. I wanted to be a boy mom.
Did you?
I wanted it so bad. It's all I wanted. I was raised with all sisters.
Okay.
I had no brothers. I had no boys around. Like, I wanted a boy.
Mine's a little bit different. So, I skipped my period, and then because I got pregnant right before I graduated from senior year of high school. And I was in class and I was like falling asleep, all kinds of stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. And something said, you really need to take a pregnancy test.
Oof.
Yeah. And I was like getting fitted for my cap and gown. I had just picked up my class ring. Like all the things were happening. And I called one of my closest friends and I said, hey, Jonica, will you take me to Planned Parenthood? And she was like, okay. So we went to Planned Parenthood. I did the test. They came in the room and they were like, okay, so you're pregnant. You're about 3 months along. I was like, oh God, why?
3 months?
I was like, my life is over. My life is over. My life is over. And the only reason why I went is because I started feeling like weird sensations in my stomach.
Like something starts happening.
Yeah.
You're like,
and I was like, what is that? And so I said, hey, take me to James's house. And she goes, what's going on? I was like, oh, I'm pregnant. And she was like, okay. I've never seen her drive this fast ever. We get to his parents' house because he was working. He was like out of school and working. And his dad opens the door. And he's like, Brandy, what are you doing here? It's the middle of the day. I was like, is James home? He goes, no. What's wrong? And I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was like, oh, he gonna be a daddy? And I was like, why are you happy about this? This is not...
We're children.
What the fuck? And so he called his son came home from work and he like tried to hug me. I was like, yeah, don't touch me.
I can't do that right now.
This was not in the plan for me. And so when I finally told my mother, she said, I already knew you were pregnant. And I said, why did you know I was pregnant? She said, I had a dream you were pregnant. And I was like, Well, that's not good. And mind you, my sister literally had just had a baby, and me and my sister are 10 years apart. She had a girl. And so I'm hoping and praying I'm going to have a girl.
They can be besties.
Yeah, because I have sisters. I have sisters. And my nephew, he actually was born a year before my niece and my son. So my son and my niece were born the same year. And when I found out it was a boy, I was like, no, I don't want a boy. I wanted a girl.
Oh, that's so funny because my niece and my son are 9 months apart.
Oh, yeah, see?
They are back to back. So my sister had gotten pregnant. Now, we didn't even know till she was already like 5 months pregnant. It was crazy.
See, I was only 3.
she didn't show. She just was. I mean, I have a picture in my apartment and she's 8 months pregnant and it looks like she maybe would have been 3 months, if that. Like, she was just tiny the whole time. But she had just had my niece. Now, when my niece was born, it was very quick. There was no drugs that were able to be administered. It happened.
It just...
Hello. And I was in the room and witnessed all of this happening. And my family afterwards was like, when do you think you're going to have kids?
Oh, wow.
19-year-old Kayla was like, never.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Yeah.
That's going to be a no for me. Not knowing I'm 2 weeks pregnant already and just didn't know it at that point.
That happened to me too, because my sister came to visit with my niece who was 3 months old. I did not know I was pregnant at all. And then when my sister left, I promptly found out I was pregnant.
Yeah, and you're like, uh-oh.
And I was like, this is the biggest bullshit ever. And so I had to rearrange my life because, you know, my plans were to go off to college and, you know, peace out on everybody else.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. So I kind of rearranged my life. Now, granted, once I knew he was there, I loved him immensely.
Oh, of course. There's no one I love more on this earth.
I loved him immensely. I loved him. And so when he was born, I made a promise to him that no matter what happened in this life, he would always have me. Always, always. And he's still very close to me. I'm very thankful for that because I don't think if I did not have children, I would have been the same person.
Yeah.
Just at all.
Me either.
That little boy coming into my life, and he came at a really like scary time for me.
Yep.
Just his presence. That's why you said, "Oh, Josh, you're the favorite." He does not believe that, but he really is. He's like he's the favorite.
I feel like those firstborn boys, like there is something so special and unique in the bond. And like, especially, I mean, I was only a young mom, right? Like I didn't have any more kids after him. So I don't know, I guess, what it's like to not almost grow up with your kids. You know?
I don't either. I was 19.
Yeah,
so I
too.
did. I grew up with my kid. And I know people don't realize it, but he's like one of my best friends.
Yeah.
He is. Like when people see us together, he sticks right there with his mama. And he's always been like that. And so I remind him, like, you know, you're my little love. Because he is. That's my guy.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryder is too. As soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was obviously really scared for the first little while. But I feel like I adjusted to the idea of it pretty quick and was just like, okay, like this is what's going to happen then. And like, this is all the changes I have to make. Cause I was in college at the time too. And my, due date was going to fall on like the week of finals and like everything was like running all crazy. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to stop school and I'm just going to work for now. And I'm going to like make sure, cause I have a lot in my head where, you know, my dad worked a lot. And and even when he came home from work, he would go out and work in his shop or whatever.
Yeah.
He was always busy. And I never really got to have like that relationship. And so I know with Ryder, it was really important to me that like I didn't try to take on school and work because I wanted to be home at some point too.
Oh,
like I needed to make sure that he saw me, that I was there, that I was a part of it, that I was able to like have that bond with him. And, you know, so I stopped and had to make all these changes, had him from like the moment I like did start to accept it while pregnant. I just like everything changed to me. I tell everybody he saved my life, and that is like not an understatement at all. Like at that point in my journey, I had gone through so many bad things, and I just was like in my head, I didn't think I was ever going to like live to even where I'm at right now. Like I really didn't think I was going to live till I was even 30. So having Ryder changed everything because I was like, okay, I don't have that option anymore. That option of just like letting my life burn out. It's like been rough to this point, like just letting it go to shit and like balls to the wall, like just have a good time till I burn out. Like it had to change. I didn't have that anymore. He needed me at that point and everything shifted.
Mine was a little different because I had a stay-at-home mom, and I had like the traditional family. So my dad went off to work every day. He was home by 5. We ate dinner at 5. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So I was incredibly sheltered. So when I got pregnant, I was like, oh, this is not how this is supposed to go. This is wrong. This is wrong. Because I had never done my own laundry, like any of that.
Oh.
Yeah. And so now I'm having a human being
that you're also responsible for.
And my mother even told me, because again, I got pregnant right before graduation. I went off to school. I had my son the weekend of Thanksgiving. So once school was getting ready to get out, my first year of college is when I had my baby, first semester. So my mom, her whole thing was, this child is yours. This is what your choice was. Cause I had options, and I knew I had options. I was like, okay. She said, I'm not going to be responsible for washing his clothes. I'm not going to be responsible for him because this is what your path is now. Yeah. And I was like, Mom, I don't know how to work the washer. And she goes, I'll show you. And so I kid you not, the first night home with that baby, I sat in the bed and cried because I did not know how to get him to sleep.
You're overwhelmed.
I had no idea how to get him to sleep, none whatsoever. And because I was at home with my mother, she came out of her room. My mom had 6 kids. She came out of her room, held him, shook him for about 10 minutes. He went right to sleep and gave him back to me. And I was just like, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Thankfully, so for one, my mom had a really, really rough childhood. And so from like middle school on, she had taught me and my sister how to like do our own laundry, how to make our own, like, I'm not saying we were like cooking full blown meals in middle school, but like we knew how to like make things in the, on the stove top or in the microwave or whatever, like quick stuff we could make. And so when I had Ryder, I, at that point was already like, me and my mom lived together, but I paid half the bills for everything, like half the rent, half the stuff.
Oh, so you were a little grown up.
So I was a little grown up. I had moved out at 17. So by 19, I had already kind of started developing my own like world. So I felt pretty okay in that sense. However, I will say that first night was hellacious.
Yeah, that
was the worst night of my life. So we, in the hospital, everyone kept telling me, make sure you let the nursery take him at night. Like, don't
because you're
worry.
not going to get any sleep once you get home. And I was like, no, I want my baby in here with me. And my mom was like,
No,
send him on.
He got to go to the nursery.
You're not going to sleep for 18 years. Go ahead and send him.
Yep. Everyone was like, my mom was the one who stayed with me at the hospital because by the time I had Ryder, me and his dad were no longer together.
Yeah.
So my mom was the one staying with me and she was like, nope, you need to take him. Like, she's got to rest, like, whatever. So she was like a huge advocate for me throughout that. But that first night was tough. So my mom was very much like, this is your thing, and I'm only going to intervene when you ask me to.
Mine
like,
was
I'm just gonna go to my room, and you need to figure this out. So that first night, I had everything set up. I thought everything was going to be like smooth sailing. I had worked with kids for a while at this point. I'd been working in a daycare, so I was like, okay, like this will be fine. No. It did not matter what I did. He screamed. And when I'm telling you that like little baby cried from like 10 p.m. till it felt like 7 a.m. in the morning. And I finally like text my mom and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And she comes into the room and she picks him up and she goes, just go to sleep, get a couple hours. It's okay. And I just looked at her and I go, what the hell did I get myself into? Yeah. I go, I can't do this, Mom. And she was like, it's okay. It's the first night. Go to bed. I got him.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about just her holding him while we're standing there talking. He's already fallen asleep in her arms.
I was just fine. Like, what voodoo magic do you have?
My mom and my sister could always get Ryder to sleep. He would go to sleep in a heartbeat for them. I struggled all the time. Now, thankfully for me, I did not want to put him in daycare until he was 2. So I moved my sister and my niece in as well.
Oh, wow. So you had a tribe.
Well, so that me and my mom could go to work, we could pay the bills, my sister could take care of the kids. You know, like it made it to where we didn't have to like have someone else watching Ryder. Like I didn't want him with anybody else.
I kind of did the same thing. So when it came time for, because I had to skip the second semester of college because I had a baby. So when it came time for me to go back to school, I enrolled in UNT and his dad was in the military. He's like, I don't want you to go to UNT. Just don't come down here where I'm at. Cause he joined the military. And I was like, yeah, I really, I don't want to do that.
No thanks.
And he was like, I want to be part of my baby's life. I haven't seen him yet. Please come down here. Please. I'm begging you. There's a college here. He's like, you'll be with me. He's like, just come. And so I told my mom and she said, well, I want to move down there anyway. And I was like, oh, shit. So off to Colleen we went.
Great. The whole gang.
I was away from all of my friends. I didn't know anybody. I just had my mom and my son's dad. And of course, I go back to school. And that was like the hardest thing ever for me. Because I thrive on like my social circles. And all I had was this new person. And I had a man who was not very good to me. Yeah. And even his parents were still up this way. And so they weren't there to help me. And my mother. So my mother would watch him. But I was incredibly lonely that whole time. That entire time. Now, granted, I had a lot of fun. But I was able to grow with my baby. Because I spent all my time with him out of school.
Yeah.
And so, like, his first steps, I wasn't home. I was at school. But my mom got to see. And we got to see, like, his little personality take hold and stuff.
Yeah,
and just
start developing.
Yeah, and just that part of seeing, like, this little person grow into who he was, just it gave me the hope and the drive to keep going, because at that point, everything I did, and I mean everything, was for him.
Yeah.
Every dime I ever got, I spent on that baby.
Yep, me too.
Every dime was on that baby. I'm a college student. I don't have a whole lot of money. I'm living with my mom, and so we're trying to make ends meet and stuff. I made sure we always had cable so that my kiddo could watch Blue's Clues. He could watch Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't care. It was what does Josh need? What does Josh want? And I made sure we always had it for him.
Yeah.
And then when he got a little bit older, because I remember I had a second one right out of college. And so he had a playmate. He did. And watching them grow together and like be friends and play together and stuff, my heart has never been that full, ever. Because having my dad pass away and then 2 years later having my brother pass away, I had two very traumatic deaths. And so my sons kind of filled in those gaps.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of helped refill that cup of love and like.
And the weird part is they have like similar personality traits. Because my older son, he's the same symbol, like same sign as my brother that passed away. And my younger son is the same sign as my dad. And so they have like
little similarities.
Yeah. So it's real strange how that like these two people I created came into my life. Now granted, having boys is hard.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So we're gonna talk about the hard because little boys are reckless and they're rough. And sometimes you question why they do certain things.
Well, and they can just be so rude sometimes. And I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Like when I start thinking of stories of Ryder and I'm just like remembering times where as a mom, I was just staring at this child that, you know, like you talked about, like you've created this human being. You love them so freaking much. But then they do stuff and you're just staring at them like,
why?
What?
Like
the
what?
heck? Like I remember one time, and it's the first story that comes to my mind every time. Ryder was he was 3 at this time frame. He had asked me and my best friend, he was like, I want pizza for dinner. And we're like, all right, dope. Easy peasy. Can do that.
Pizza.
Make him a little plate. Put pizza on his little plate. He's sitting at the table. And I am not kidding you. When that child is dead ass staring at me in my eyes, takes the plate and just throws it off the table.
Yeah.
Just off the table.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, what the fuck
Little boys
is wrong
bad
with
about
you?
It. Little boys is bad about it. So I have two stories. When Joshua was, I want to say he was like 18, 19 months old. Now, granted, Joshua spoke before he could walk. And when he got ready to try to walk, he crawled on one knee. So he would just drag one knee behind him. It was weird.
That's hilarious.
Because he's gifted and talented. So it was like he wanted to get up and walk, but he was hesitant. So he would just drag that one knee.
He's like, I'm just going to halfway get there.
So there was one period when I couldn't find my baby because he was quick on that one knee because he's like half walking at this point. And I couldn't find him. And I kept hearing this, hee hee. And I'm like, where's this baby? This baby was in the laundry room. And he had a bottle of Windex that was on the floor in the laundry room, and he's squirting it in his chest. And every time now Joshua was like the perfect child. He really was. Like, you know, everybody's like, oh, your firstborn is always perfect. No, he really was the perfect child. He hardly ever got in trouble. But this baby's behind the door.
I did not have that experience.
He's squirting a bottle of Windex, so like right here. Like he wasn't eating it or anything. It's just like, he. And so first time mom, Windex is poisonous. Ah! Hair on fire, in the bathtub, column poison control, all the things. Jacob, my second little boy, I was really good about making homemade food for my kids because I'm weird with food, as you know. So every morning before I went to work, I would get up and I actually would cook breakfast. Like they got cereal sometimes, but I would cook breakfast. And Jacob loved eggs. And one particular morning, I got up, I put him in his high chair, I went and scrambled this baby some eggs, put some grapes on the plate, and a little bit of turkey sausage. Same thing. Like, this is normal for us. And my mom was living with me, by the way. And I put it on the high chair. This fool flips the plate on the floor like, bip.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, oh, no. He dropped his plate. Okay. Brandy goes back, does the whole thing again. Scrambles 2 more eggs, gets more turkey sausage, gets grapes, put it on a plate, put it in front of the baby. Flips it a second time. The noise from the peanut gallery, which is my mother, she says, that baby don't want that plate.
Nope, he don't.
Because I was getting ready to do it a third time. And she's like, he don't want that. That's him. He just like stone faced just flipped it over. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yep. I'm telling you, Ryder stared me dead in the eye while he did it.
And Jacob didn't really talk. Like, he didn't vocalize what he wanted. He could talk. He just wouldn't. And so I was like, oh, you an asshole. So I just picked him up and put him on the floor and was like, whatever. And my mother looks at me. She's like, give him some Cheerios. Huh? Just give him some Cheerios. What? She said, go get the Cheerios out the cupboard. Put some on the table. When he gets hungry, he'll eat that. And I'm sitting like, he's not going to eat that. And, whatever. I'm listening to her. I do it. And sure enough, he just starts eating them off the coffee table. And I was like, okay, I'm a shitty parent. Because you try to anticipate what your children need. And I'm just like, I just went in there, made you breakfast twice, and you want dry cereal.
You just want cereal.
Okay.
It's hard to tell what they need. And I think sometimes it's trying to find that, middle ground between I'm going to be a mom that like watches your sugar intake and makes for sure that like you're having like a balanced diet.
Oh, I did all
and
that.
Like you're, like you have all these things that you want to do for your kid because you're older, you're the adult, you understand life and what's going to happen eventually. But they're kids. They don't care. They don't understand all that. They want the things that are easy, fun, whatever.
Learned to ease back when I had baby number 2. Because baby number 1, you have no idea what you're doing. And you're just trying to go what the book says. And like they need a balanced diet and they need fresh air and they need this and they need that. I was so tired because my sons are 4 years apart. By the time Jacob came along, and I was just like, you want to put clothes on today, man?
Or nah, just let me know.
And he's like, no, I'm good. And I was like, bet.
I was that way from the jump, and I think that it was so fun for me to watch because I had kind of grown up in a house where like my mom always wanted the house to be like clean and presentable. Everything had to be a certain way, like not like awful, but enough that like you couldn't just fully like make a mess or like if you spilled something or stained something.
I couldn't go in the living room growing up.
Oh no, like we could like hang out in the house, but just like if you did make a mistake or something happen, like I remember when we moved into our house, I had accidentally gotten some like of that fabric paint in the carpet in the room, like in my bedroom.
Oh, that would have been death in my house.
Oh yeah. My parents were very upset. But like with Ryder, I tried to go in with this whole other mindset of just like everything can be replaced, everything can be washed. It's not a big deal. Just let him enjoy. Like, he's a little boy.
Yeah.
Boys are messy. Boys are destructive. Boys are impulsive. They don't necessarily always think through, like, if I jump off the back of the couch, I might hit that table and hurt my head like Ryder did. He's not like, no, he's just like, I want to jump off the back of the couch. I'm doing it. Look how fun this is.
But you know what? I like that about little boys because
I love it.
There's
so
no
fun.
hesitation with them. There literally isn't. They just, does it feel good? Absolutely. Am I doing it? Bet your ass. Am I going to get in trouble? Maybe.
I feel like Ryder is always in his head, like, probably going to get in trouble for this.
And so I love them. And they're so incredibly honest.
They are.
Like, little boys will tell you stuff that you will never imagine would come out of their mouth. Jacob was 5 years old, and I took him to Nevada to meet his extended family, like his aunts and his cousins and stuff. And his aunt had literally just had a baby. I'm sitting there holding this baby and talking to this baby, and Jacob looks at me, and I kid you, this little boy looked at me. He's like, Mom. And I'm like, what? Babies can't talk. And I'm like, you little asshole. I know babies can't talk. For real? Like, you're just going to call your mama out like, you stupid. You know that baby can't talk to you. Mm-hmm. But little boys say like the most off the cuff stuff. And they'll even tell you if you have something on and they think it's ugly. Like, I kid you not, my son has said, why you got that shirt on? And even now, because Jake just moved out, when I would get dressed, I would say, how does mommy look? And he'd be like, oh, you look really good. Or where are you going? Like that outfit don't match where you going.
At what point do you feel like that started?
When they could start talking. I do. Because the thing about boys is their mother is their first love. Just like little girls, your father's your first love. With the
sometimes.
Sometimes. So with little boys, the first woman they ever admire is you.
Yeah.
The first woman they ever think is pretty is you. The first woman whose opinion matters is yours. And so it starts from the time, they're able to notice you as a person. And it's crazy because I look for validation in my kids still.
Well, I know that I ask Ryder, like, I'll be like, does this look okay? Like, or whatever. But Ryder has never actually been like, Mom.
Oh, yeah, mine have.
What are you wearing?
Mine are so brutally honest. They will absolutely be like.
But it could just be Ryder, too. Like, that has never really been, like, his thing. Even now, like, he's still, like, when it comes to school clothes shopping, I have to, like, beg him to go with me. He's like, no. He's like, you know what I like. You can handle it. Go.
Oh, no. Mine, if I say I'm going shopping, we're coming.
Oh, no. Ryder's very hands-off. He's like, you got it.
But I also have noticed that my sons are so close to me, it doesn't matter where I'm going, they will ride. Like, if I'm going to the DMV, I'll come with you. Because I tell people all the time, as like, you don't realize, I roll with a gang. Like, I got 2 homies.
Yeah, I always say me and the boys.
Yeah.
It's always me and the boys.
Yeah. And when they were little, they were such a big part of who I was because, in your 20s, you want to go out and you want to drink with your friends and you want to do all the things. And I wasn't really able to do that. And so when I like hit 30 and I had like already bought my first home and I was established, my girlfriend was like, let's go to happy hour. And I was like, I can't. I have my kids. And I said, but where do you want to go to happy hour at? And she's like, let's go to Razoo's. And I was like, bet. And so I would take my sons with me. They will tell you every Tuesday, we would go to Razoo's. I would have a drink with my girlfriend and my sons would be in the booth behind us and they could order whatever they wanted. And so if I missed a happy hour, they would be like, what's wrong with you?
Why can't we go?
We got a standing date.
I was supposed to be eating fried pickles right now, ma'am.
Today. Why we not? What's wrong? Why we not going? Like, I'm gonna need you to go upstairs and throw some jeans on. We rolling. So yeah, I got a gang. If I'm rolling, they rolling.
Yeah.
And my best friend will even tell you, she's like, oh yeah, Brandy would have parties and stuff, and the boys would just be right there with the girls, just kicking it. She was like, she'd make them mocktails. They were there. And so when I met my husband, that was the first thing I said. I was like, hey, this is a package deal.
Yep.
Like, there's no splitting this. They're coming.
Yeah. I had something really similar. So when Ryder was growing up, I'm really close with some of my friends and their family, and they have a house up at Lake Texoma. Mm-hmm. And so prior to Ryder, that's what we would do a lot, is go up there and like hang out and like be on the lake, doing whatever. So when I had Ryder, I was really thankful that while I lost a lot of friends, like all the friends that I would hang out with at the bars and the partying and all that, like I pretty much lost all of those friends. My like true friends, like that's how it was with them. They were like, it was just me and Ryder would come. Yeah. You'd have Ryder running around. Like we would make sure that there was stuff for him to like be able to do. And he was just hanging and vibing. Like he grew up with my friends and I as like just this extra homie that was with us, and we would do whatever. We'd include him, like make him his own little versions and things. And it was just, I think that helped him and I so much because in all honesty, we don't have a lot in common. I love him very much. We have music stuff in common, and that he's getting more into that side of it. And that's very good for me. But other than that, we don't have a lot in common. So I'm glad that we did have that because we have that like bond and that sense of like how we like to spend time and be with each other at least.
Now Josh might disagree with me on this, but I don't feel like me and my children have a whole lot in common. I see them as very different individuals than myself, which is fine. That's how I raised them to be. It is like what you want to like, do what you want to do, be authentically you, be unapologetically you. And so I don't see like other people when they see me and my kids together. Oh, they see it. They're like, oh no, those are Brandy's kids.
Yeah. That's what's so crazy with little boys, right? Because like you always feel like they're just going to be like these little mini versions of their dad.
Yeah.
But they're really not. Because even though like Ryder he like played baseball his whole life, which is like his dad's thing. He's like really into like anime and Pokemon, which is like his stepdad's thing, you know, like it doesn't matter. Everyone in Ryder's life at some point has looked at him and said, bub, you need to stop. That's your mom's face.
Yeah.
That's your mom.
Yeah.
Stop.
And Josh will tell you, he's like, I have a lot of things like my mother. And he's like, she gave me like a lot of things. Now, granted, I'm an avid reader. And when he was growing up, he hated reading. I got him into comic books because I do read comic books. And so he reads comic books, he reads graphic novels. But to sit down and read a book, that's not him. So one of our dates with my kids were growing up was we would go to the bookstore And even now,
Yeah,
even now, if he knows I'm going to the bookstore, he's like, "Oh, I'll come with you."
Yeah, Ryder too.
So there's things that they do that are reminiscent of me, but not everything they do. Because like his music taste is, granted, we listen to a lot of the same music, and it's kind of my fault because music is always going on in my world. But the music he's chose to practice, I have never listened to, which is fine. I get it. But, he'll tell you it's my mother's fault because music is life. And he said she will tell you music is life. And that's his whole thing. Music is life. My kids both rode a skateboard, and they were really good at riding skateboards. And when someone asked him, who taught you how to ride a skateboard? Our mom did. And they're like, her? Little most bougie over there? And Josh will be there's a reason why mom wears Converse.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. Your dad didn't teach you? He's like, no. Our mom taught us. Like, moms have such an impact on little boys. I don't think we get enough credit.
We don't, because I think that we have to take on a lot of that responsibility in trying to make sure that they're very well-rounded and making sure that they are able to process their emotions and process situations and handle their tempers and the anger and the whatever, like in ways that are healthy versus like what it used to be. And so I think that we don't get enough credit because there is so much more into it than what people realize. Like, they just think that these little boys, like, they're wild, they're running around, they're doing whatever. And like, they are.
And they need all this discipline.
And like, at the same time, we're finding ways to allow them to do that and be kids and do like all the rough, like mess and chaos while still finding ways to insert these little pieces that will help plant them and grow them into the person that we need them to eventually become. So it's like this very unique balance of trying to make sure that you are teaching them to embrace their authentic selves and to be unapologetically them, while also making sure that what they recognize as being them are these like good, healthy items versus all of the influence that the outside world tries to put in instead too.
I think because I raised my sons by myself, because my sons are grown and Ryder's still growing, but because I raised the boys by myself, there were certain things that I didn't want to pass on to them. Like the whole man up mentality. Now, granted, I have said that to them before because at some point, everybody has to toughen up, even me. I've been told, put your big girl panties on and just hustle up on it. And so, I've said that before. However, when it comes to validating your emotions or your feelings, I let them be.
Yeah.
Because they are entitled to feel sad and mad and angry and all of those things. And it is not bad for men to show emotion.
And it's hard. It's so hard to teach that, right? Like yesterday, for example, Ryder had his first solo performance that was in front of a judge. Ryder, that is the one thing about him. Like, he loves music, so he wanted to do band, but that was the part of it that he's always been scared about.
Really?
Is he does not like to get up and perform. He definitely doesn't want to talk in front of someone. And he gets very quiet when especially if he's around someone like he doesn't know like that. And so this was a situation that it was for a grade. He didn't have a choice. He was going to have to do it. And he had to walk in the room, introduce himself, announce what he would be playing, sit down, get set up, play a test note, play a solo, take the judge's notes back and be able to thank you.
Yeah.
And leave without falling apart. And I was very concerned because it has been what he's so nervous about. Thankfully, they had said in there that parents could come. So he of course, out of everyone had turned to me and was like, Mom, can you please like leave work early and like come to the school to be there with me? And I was like, of course I will. I'll be there. So and they told the kids, like, you can have your parent in the room or you can ask them to stay outside. Like, it's whatever you want. So I'd asked Ryder and he's like, come inside with me. And I'm like, okay. As we're sitting in the hallway, he's like not talking. And I'm like, you're going to do so good. Like, you know, even if you do it exactly, because I'm pretty hard on him because I was in band. So like, I'm like, sometimes I know I can be like a little hard when he's practicing. I'm like, you're slowing down right here. Like, that's not how that note's supposed to go. Like, da 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 da. So I was like, listen, I am just very picky because I know I want you to continue to go push to get the best you can be. But I want you to know that even if you walk in that room and play it exactly like you did any of the times you played it yesterday, it's going to be great. Everything's going to go well. You're going to absolutely kill it. Like, it's fine. And he's just sitting there. He's like, mm-hmm. He like doesn't want to talk. And I'm like, are you nervous? Like, are you okay? He's like, no, I'm not nervous. Stop. Like, and I was like, okay, so do you want me to just like sit here? Do you want me to like talk to you? Like, is there like,
no, I want you he's like, just be quiet.
Yeah. He's like, if you could just like sit there. I was like, okay. So I was like, cool, we'll just sit here. We go inside. There were moments that like I would have been thrown off if I was him. Like, I'm be honest, I would have been thrown off. He comes in, he introduces himself. The stand is set up, of course, always in the worst position. Every band person, if you've done band, you're going to be like, yep, that's always how it is when you get in. He goes to set his folder down. It falls. Like, his whole binder falls. His stuff's falling out. I'm like, ugh. And he looks at me and I go, like, you're good.
You're fine.
You're good. Don't worry about it. Because I kept telling him before we went, I was like, just don't rush. Get your stuff set up. Everyone in there is on your timeline.
Yep.
Okay. So just stay calm. So he picks it up. He gets going. We leave. Last night, Tong is asking him, like, were you nervous? And he was like, no, it's fine. Everything was fine. Da, da, da. Tong walks out of the room and I looked at him. I said, Ryder, you know, it is okay to have been nervous. Like, I want you to know that when you look at me and you're like, you're so confident and you're so like, you just hold it.
Yeah.
Inside, I'm not like that. Inside, I'm saying like, bro, I'm nervous as shit. I am so scared to do this. And I was like, when I'm telling you to like in your head, just like shut those voices and say like, nope, I got it. Nope, I'm fine. Nope, I got it. I'm telling you that from experience because I get nervous. It's okay to be nervous. And he looked at me and goes, I was so nervous, Mom. He goes, that was the scariest thing I have had to do all year. And I was like, yeah, it was. And he got a Division I, which is the best score you can get.
Yeah, he did
it's a superior. He did so good. But it's just trying to find those moments and like watch him. And even though he's telling me like, no, I'm fine. No, I'm nervous. Being able to be like, nah, playa, you nervous. And that's okay.
I think with the boys, because I have this flair where I walk with so much confidence and I speak with so much confidence and I command a room. I don't know where that comes from, by the way. My children have it. And so they, like, growing up with this person, they're just like, oh, you're a peon. We live with the queen. We're good. We're good. So when we had our live event and my son was there, and I said, are you nervous about sitting down with Mom? Because he already knew I wasn't nervous. And he says, no, Mom, I get up in front of people all the time and I perform. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. And he said, are you nervous? And I looked at him and I was like, have you ever known me to be nervous? And he's like, oh, no, we got this. And so it was just refreshing to know that we had that energy between us, and we've had it since he was little, to where, what do we have to be afraid of?
Yeah. I think it's hard with Ryder because Ryder had that when he was little. I had put him in a pageant when he was little. He won Peanut Butter Prince. when I'm telling you, I was worried about it. He walked out on that stage, was waving at everybody. Like, he was not scared at all. But as he got older, I don't necessarily really, like, I can't explain it, but there was a shift. And like,
school.
It started a little before school.
Really?
There were things that he was dealing with and trying to process, and he just wasn't entirely sure of how to do that at the time. And it like really caused him to take a hit on his confidence. So like where he was always that kid of being like, yeah, I got this. Like, I'm cute as hell. Like, look at me. Who cares? He like had lost that spark for a while. So it was really good yesterday. I was so proud just to be able to see that. And when he walked out, we like, we
got it.
We got it, baby.
Which is funny because he's very confident when he speaks to me.
Yeah, which is so funny because actually, I love that you said that. It's crazy because he's very picky and choosy. When he is around people, he will get a vibe, and he will either immediately be cool with you, joke around, be open, speak to you loud and clear, like do his thing, or he's going to get around you and you're not going to be able to get him to.
Yeah.
Like, and we run into that a lot. I know his dad called me recently and was like, hey, like, just want you to know how this had happened. But like, people will try to talk to him and he'll just be like, one word answer, don't want to speak,
and
quiet.
Full disclosure, I haven't met Ryder in person yet, but he will talk to me on the phone like we've been friends.
He just walks in and starts talking to you.
Like we've been friends for forever.
Yeah.
Yep. And he even said, I need Brandy's phone number.
Yeah, he's trying to get your phone number. He's like, I'm going to call Brandy when I'm getting bullied or anything. Have Brandy come beat some people up. I was like, bro, I cannot deal with you.
But my other friends, their kids are like that too. I have a really close girlfriend. She's got a little girl, and her little girl will get her phone and be like, hey, we have not hung out.
Yeah.
When are we going to hang out? I have not seen you. And I'm just like, I'm 47 years old, chick. You are 8.
But I think part of that too is just how they're raised up. You know, like Ryder was raised up with all my friends, like I said. So like even in his phone right now, like it's only set up for him to have like family people in there. But every one of my friends, he has their phone numbers in there. Is like aunt so and so, aunt so and so. Like these are my this is my family.
Yeah,
and he will like call them on their birthday or send them a message. Like he will reach out and try to communicate with them. Even like, they're grown adults. He doesn't care. He's like, you are my fam, bro.
Yeah, my best friend's son is like that too. Because he will, if he hasn't seen me in about 3 months, he will tell his mother. He's like, where is Aunt Brandy? Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, oh, okay, y'all keeping tabs.
They're keeping tabs.
Yeah.
They just get so in tune with our lives, like the boys to like sons to their moms. Like we said in the beginning, it's just that bond that builds in such a unique way that it's hard to describe, but the best feeling in the world.
I think it's one of the best bonds to have too. Like I know the father-daughter bond pretty well because I was a daddy's girl, but the mother-son bond I think is way stronger because anytime something goes wrong with me, my sons they're standing 10 toes down.
Yep.
Like, who said what to my mama? Who did this to my mama?
Yep.
Oh, you made my mama cry. Now we gonna fight. So
they're very in tune with us.
Yes.
Ryder can always tell when I'm upset or if I have something going on, no matter how well I'm hiding it, he knows.
So there's a story. My car had broke down right on the highway right before we get to my house. And of course I called the tow truck. Tow truck brings me and the car home. Joshua was home and he sees this tow truck pull up with his mama's car on it. I have never seen my son. He don't go outside, by the way. This is not a person that goes outside. And he was maybe 21, 22 at the time. This boy bolted down the stairs, opened the door, was outside. He was like, what happened? And I said, I'm fine. The car just died. You all right? You sure you're all right? I said, Josh, I'm okay. Like, I'm all right. He's like, okay, what's going to happen with the car? And I was like, they're going to take it to the shop. He's like, you sure you're okay? And he's like looking at me and touching me. He's like, you all right? I said, Josh, I'm fine.
I'm good.
And that was one of the moments when I realized, I was like, even though they get on my nerves incredibly bad.
Oh, yeah. There's some challenges. Like, boys can be really incredibly hard. Like, there's times where you are in your head, like, I don't know that we are in sync. But then
there's times I want to just throat punch mine, just like a bit. But at the end of the day, they know that my younger son has my name tattooed on his arm. And when he did it, I was mad. I did. I was like, what'd you do that for? That's the dumbest thing ever. Why would you put your mama's name on your arm? And it doesn't say mom. It says it says like Brandy right across here. And I said, what happens when you meet a girl or something? What is that about? And he goes, but you are my girl. Mm-hmm. And that, I was like, oh, my baby loved me.
Yeah, there's so many times where Ryder has said little things where, you know, either Tong called me like babe or something like that. And Ryder was like, she's my babe. Or like, I remember Ryder just being like, him telling me like, you're my best friend, Mom. Like, I'd ask him like, who's your best friend? He's like, you're my best friend. And like
hold on to that, because when they get older, you're not their best friend anymore.
No, and like that's the thing is now that is when he was younger, and we're moving into that stage now where things are taking that turn. And you know, I know that I'm coming up on a huge shift in boy momhood, and what's about to happen is probably going to break my heart some days.
It does.
But it's just that thing where I know deep down in my soul, there's nobody who understands him better than I do. There's nobody who understands me better than he does. Like, there is a bond that is so strong between him and I that it doesn't matter how many shifts we have to get through. I know that we'll get through it, and like him and I will always be incredibly close.
You'll see it, because like when we had our event and everybody saw like how close Josh stuck to his mother.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to talk to people. This was a little boy when he was like 2, and we would go shopping. He'd be like, hi, my name is Joshua. This is my mother, Brandy. Like,
oh God.
Like I'm not kidding. Like, he was that kid. He just welcome people. And so, you know, when people see him with me, and he's just like, he's literally right there next to his mom, and he holds his mom's hand, and he's doting on his mother. They're just like, okay, now we understand. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're like, they're my people. Yeah. I wanted to talk about a little bit how we get our sons to respect women. I know for a while you were a single mom, and I was too. I didn't get married till Josh was 17. And I think Jacob was 13 or 14. And they both have mates now. At least mine do. Because Ryder's still itty bitty.
Yeah, he better not.
But like my sons dated, and they had girls and stuff come to the house, and I met a couple of them. But it wasn't until Joshua met his girlfriend now, who is his fiance. And I think for a while they were really hesitant about me meeting these women, even though I'm very non-judgmental. Like anybody that knows me knows, oh, Brandy's not going to judge you. She don't care. Just be you. But my son's thing was, I want my mom to like you. Mm-hmm. Because if she doesn't like you, it's going to make life real uncomfortable. Yeah. And so at least with Joshua, when I met Allie, I was like, oh, she's really sweet. And he goes, oh, okay, you like her? And I was like, yeah, I don't have a problem with her. I said, if this is your choice, I don't have any problem with your choice. And I'm looking at it now, and my sons really want to protect the women in their They want to support them fully. They want to protect them fully. And they are incredible gentlemen. And I have to say, perhaps it has a lot to do with being raised by just your mother. Because my brother is not a gentleman.
I think it has to do with being raised with a safe space of vulnerability. Like, I think that it
Probably so.
I think that it takes having a feminine presence that is open to showing and
'Cause my
letting
dad
them
was
in
like that.
and letting them, like, it takes. I openly talk about everything in my life with Ryder.
Yeah, I did too.
For the most part. Now, obviously, I keep it as age appropriate as whatever, but that child has been hearing about periods and this and that, and
Now, my sons didn't know about that part. They did know about like heartbreak because they would see when their mother was visibly heartbroken. They learned about like when love just doesn't mesh well and why you can't be with certain people in your life.
Yeah.
My younger son, we were having a conversation in my car, and he says, Mom, I don't think you realize how much of a catch you are. And I was kind of taken back by it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, Mom, you're educated. He said, and not only with being educated, you're really smart. And he's like, you're really funny and you're nice. Like, you're just a nice human being. And then he said, Mom, you're stunning. And I said, because it's your kid. Your kid's always going to say you're pretty. And I was like, nah, I'm all right. He's like, no, Mom, you're stunning. He said, my friends think you're stunning. And just your presence as a human being is just amazing. And he said, you make your own money. You stand on your own 2 feet. He said, Jeremy got the trifecta when he married you. And like to hear my kids say that, I was like, oh, you were paying attention.
Yeah.
To what attributes women should have. I never said this is what we should have. I just was that example. And so he looked and he's like, no, Mom, that's a catch.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? Is like being that example, but you have to let them see the example, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to let them see all sides of it. And I mean, for me, that was, you were like, oh, my boys, we were not talking about periods. I felt like that was really important to me to talk about with him because I didn't want him to, well, for one, that was something I wanted him to notice is how Tong takes care of me when I'm having, that time or whatever. Tong is very, he cares so much and he goes that extra mile when I'm going through things. And I wanted Ryder to kind of pick up and notice that. But my main thing was he's going to school.
Oh, yeah.
With a bunch of girls
who are having one
that are about to start going through this for the first time around a bunch of boys who might not be hearing about this.
Yeah.
And could use the opportunity to make a girl feel worse about it instead of helping them through it properly. So like for Ryder, our conversations about it started out as just like, hey, if you ever notice, when you're walking that a girl has something on her pants or, this, that, whatever, you're going to take your hoodie off and just wrap it around her waist. Just lean in quietly and just let her know. If you hear boys making fun of something like that, you need to stand up for the girl. Like, this is just natural. This is that. This is this. And then over the years, it's continued the conversation that he gets more curious and he is then asking like, oh, like, you've been, like, laying on the heating pad and, like, okay? Tong's doing this. Like, are you okay? Are you having your time? Like this, that. Like,
they had that, but unfortunately, mine had, like, the shock value with it because when Jake was 10, I had to have my hysterectomy. So it was like, oh, shit.
In your face. In your face.
Not only did we have to have, like, this whole conversation about women's reproductive systems and stuff, because Jake was 10, Josh was 14. And it was just like, oh yeah, and by the way, mommy is getting ready to go have major surgery because X, Y, and Z are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, their whole thing with that was like, oh, that almost killed my mother. So they're very attentive to that part, because once they found out like this is how women procreate and what happens, it was also like, oh, my mom's going to be in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm just like, for me, that's just like an example of making sure that you're pointing out things to your boys
and that they're educated,
and educating them and allowing them. Don't just shy away from it because society is like, oh, they're boys, they don't need to know this, let them go like learn about trucks or this or that or whatever. Like, they do need to know because they need to be able to care for their partner later in life, and they need to know how to have that empathy and sympathy and take care of someone else and like help them through. And, you know, again, not just in that circumstance, but just in all aspects of life. And I think that it's just finding those moments in your journey of parenting a boy and saying, this is a chance I can use this to educate him and help him grow and help him become someone who is later in life going to take that into his relationship and into how he hopefully raises his boys and his kids, you know?
And I think a lot, like historically speaking, women leave it up to the men in the family to teach boys how to treat a woman. But I don't think that's right, because we as women know what we need. Like you as my sister, I know what you need. And so I think we as mothers should incorporate that into our sons so that they can be good spouses and can be good mates and can be better fathers than their fathers before them. I really feel strongly about that. Everybody says, oh, well, you were a single mom and single mom. There's this whole stereotype about single moms. Single moms can't raise a man. We can.
Yeah.
I think we as single mothers can raise a man because we as women know what it is we need. And so we make stronger, more determined men to be better in relationships.
Well, and I also think that a lot of that depends on your definition of what a man is.
Oh,
but
wow.
I think, you know, when you're looking at all of that aspect of it, I don't want Ryder to continuously be raised in this way that's getting passed down. If you look at how women were treated throughout their marriages, throughout motherhood, throughout life in general, in prior generations leading up to us.
Oh yeah, I
don't want him raised by
I didn't want
in
that.
the same manner, in the same way as the people prior to us. I think that life is this journey of constantly trying to improve and slowly break these issues within the society and within the world. Yep. You got to break these patterns. So it was really important to me for Ryder not to be raised the exact same way. Now there's parts I want to hold on to, but there's a lot of parts that I really wanted to incorporate that wasn't there before that would help round it out.
I will say this. My mother-in-law came to visit a few years back, and my husband, because we had a conversation about that, because I have my own expectations. I saw what my parents' marriage looked like. I saw how my aunt and uncle's marriage looked. There was examples of marriage, and there were certain things I was just not going to have.
Yeah.
So my mother-in-law came to visit. I had come home from work, and I had a really bad day at work. And my husband says, do you want me to go draw you a bath? Absolutely, because my bathtub is my happy place. You know, all the bubbles, all the scents, I'm pretty sure like there's 30 candles lit in there.
Add the oils.
Yeah. And so he goes upstairs, draws me a bath, gets a bottle of wine, puts it on ice, puts my glass up there. And my mother-in-law looks at me and she says, my son is a better husband than his father.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
And I was just like, got it. And I love that part about it. You know, And I hate it for her, but I love it for me. Because he does see that. He sees my wife had a really bad day. She needs like this extra minute. Mm-hmm. She needs to like take a breath and just decompress a little bit.
And it's not just loving it for you. It's loving it for your boys too, because that's what they're seeing. Saw that. That's that example. Like that is something that was really important to me when I was choosing my life partner, you know, after, because I already had Ryder. Yep. So I had to have that in my head of like, okay, but how they treat me is going to show Ryder how I feel women should accept love and how women should accept things within a relationship. And so I have to make sure that I'm putting the right boundaries and things in place so he gets the right example.
So let's see. What is one thing we want our sons to remember about their mamas?
I want him to remember that while I'm not perfect, he's not perfect, nobody's perfect, it's just important to have that love and that communication. And I just hope that he kind of uses me as his example of seeing like things were not necessarily the best. I didn't have the best start, but you create the life that you want to have. So make sure that you are going after what you need to, do what you need to do, and hold the ones you love closely. Like I just hope that he looks at my life and finds the things that are going to help him feel fulfilled in his.
I think for Joshua and Jacob, I want them to remember how much love that one person can radiate into their life.
Yeah.
How much love can be brought into a room or a situation or anything, and that will propel you forward in life.
Yeah. Well, and the comfort too.
Yeah.
The comfort that your mom brings you when you feel like your world's falling apart, and her one hug all of a sudden changes it.
So that's one thing I want them to always remember about me. If I were to pass away tomorrow, I'm pretty sure that they would remember that part. Like my mom is love. She radiates love.
Yeah.
I think that's our episode.
It is.
So happy Mother's Day, everybody. If you would like to share your boy mom stories with us, you can reach us on our website, which is hellafriends.com, or Instagram, TikTok, whatever your social media platform you choose.
All the things. You can also subscribe. That way you see when our episodes drop. We are on Apple Podcasts as well as YouTube and Spotify, so make sure you subscribe. We always try to do extra things for the subscribers, so make sure you hit those buttons.
Yep. And remember, life be lifin' sometimes.